Good morning, everybody, and a very warm, sunny welcome to your Sunday Divine Service. We're having a few connection issues with Suzette at the moment. So hopefully we'll continue on with the service. Should Suzette be able to join us, brilliant. If not, then you're going to be stuck with me. I do apologise. Anyway, we're joining all together. So, there you go. The routine's gone right out of my head. Maybe this is not a day for routine. If we could join together in the opening prayer, please, to begin with, that would be wonderful. And as I say, if Suzette does join us, then all the better. If not, then no worries. We will continue on. So just gently go with inside. Just gently link in to that God of your own understanding. Divine and infinite Spirit, we give thanks for all that we have, for this day, for our lives, for our friends and everything. Amen. Now I've cut that a little bit short because Suzette.
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Hello, darling.
Hello.
We can hear you now.
Sorry
That's wonderful. Don't worry. I did start the service by making a very brief opening prayer there, but you came on just in time, so that's absolutely wonderful. Suzette, great privilege and honour to have you serving our church online today. Thank you so much. If for the benefit of the congregation watching, if you just give us a little bit of background about yourself, that would be wonderful.
Can you hear me okay? You went a little bit funny then.
Okay, yeah. Yes, we can hear you fine here, Suzette. We do seem to keep freezing a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, try and get a better internet connection here. I'm just trying to.
That's all right. That's fine.
Okay.
Right. Good morning, Suzette. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning. So I believe after the prayer, is it a hymn or is it a reading? Is it my reading?
No, we'll go into. We'll go into the healing session now, and then I'll hand over to you for your reading and address. Is that all right, my darling?
Absolutely. Look forward to it. Thank you.
Wonderful. So everybody, if we could link into that divine source of all love, that heart of creation, send out our love, our compassion, and our thoughts of healing and upliftment to all of those we know and indeed those we don't know, and never forgetting ourselves also. So just for this short time, if we could just link together, link into the heart of creation where all energy flows from, and be that channel at this time, directing those thoughts, those words, and that love to where it is needed most. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So, Suzette, my darling, if I could hand over to you now for your reading and address, that would be absolutely great. Thank you.
Certainly can. Okay, good morning, everybody. This morning, my reading is about a gentleman from Australia. And I've done this reading a couple of times in different churches, and it's always one that I really connect with. So this is why I felt I'd want to share it on this Sunday morning. It's about a gentleman called Cliff. So in 1983, it was the biggest race that was ever going to be staged between Sydney and Melbourne. The total distance was 544 miles. It was an ultra marathon. Now, the experienced runners actually believed that the optimal performance in this race was going to be about 7 days of expected running and would require 18 hours of running and 6 hours of sleeping. A man approached the desk and he was 61. He had no coaches, he had no sponsors. In fact, he didn't even have the proper racing attire. He was dressed in overalls and wellies. Was it possible that this man even believed for a moment that he could complete such a distance that this grueling challenge had put forward for most athletes for more than half his age? Reporters and the press began to question the man. Who are you? And where are you from? And what are you doing? His reply was, I'm Cliff Young. I'm from a large ranch outside where we run sheep. Are you really going to run in this race? Yes. Have you got any backers? No. The press was now viewed and treated Cliff Young as a bit of a sideshow. Then you can't run. You must be crazy to run in this race. There's no way you could ever finish this race dressed how you are. You haven't run in it before. All these things that were being said around Cliff. And he said, yes, I can. He said, I grew up on a farm where we couldn't afford horses or four-wheel drives. So when I had to run the sheep after the storms came in, I had to go out dressed as I am. And we had some 2,000 herd of sheep and over 2,000 acres. Sometimes I'd have to run the sheep for 2 or 3 days, but I'd catch them in the end. Albert Ernest Clifford Young began this race just like the Aesop's fable, the tortoise and the hare. Cliff was left in the dust as the finest distance runners took off. And just like the tortoise, Cliff ran with his own style, a shuffle. It would go on to be recognised as an energy-saving running technique labelled as the Young Shuffle. But a shuffle alone wasn't going to win a marathon, and the gap between Cliff Young and the runners grew and grew wider. After 18 hours of running, the athletes rested for 6 hours of sleep. But Cliff Young kept running. He didn't sleep. He ran overnight. He ran in the dark. In fact, he ran day and he ran night. And he didn't sleep until he won that race. Cliff Young completed the ultramarathon in 5 days, 15 hours and 4 minutes. And he cut almost 2 days off of any record previously run for the Sydney and Melbourne Marathon. A 61-year-old man in Wellington's among the cow paddocks had won a 554-mile race without wearing any professional gear or sleeping for almost 6 days. If there was a Hollywood film, few would believe it, but truth is stranger than fiction, and actually that did happen. And there was a film that was produced, and this was about the man called Cliffy. Everyone relates to Cliff because secretly we feel we have the ability to do amazing things. And there are numerous lessons that we can learn from Cliff Young's journey through this marathon. He refused to accept no. He refused to adopt other people's limitations and beliefs. He refused to be swayed or stopped by other people's mockery. He refused to give in or give up. He pushed on right to the finish line. And one of the greatest things that Cliff did was his ultimate belief in himself. Cliff Young believed anything was possible, and all he needed was the opportunity to do so. Now, and here is a man many years ago that didn't listen to people that said I couldn't. But how many of us today listen to people still that say, you can't do this, how can you do that? And what does that do to us as people? You know, within the realms of believing in ourselves, it's hard enough on a day-to-day basis without people putting us down. But how do we find that within ourselves to rise above us? You know, when we look and we join together as a brotherhood, you know, surely we expect from a brotherhood that level of support, that level of belief in us as well as in themselves. And how do we find that? Do we have to go on our own marathon of self, our own marathon within our beliefs, within the principles, within what we know? And again, for a lot of people, that's easier said than done. For a lot of people, we would say, where do we start? We can only start at this place. And whether this place is here this morning, listening to Cliff Young, knowing what Cliff Young did, or you've already started. And if you've already started, then how many hands have you held out along the way to take people with you? So I think we're finding more and more now that the ability to connect has been harder within this lockdown. And our connections are on platforms such as this. And we lose sometimes that human touch. So we have to connect in so many different ways. And we have to connect at so many different levels. But ultimately, it's about our intention of doing so. So as we're running our own marathons in our own lives, do we want to leave people by the wayside? Or is there a way within us that we can find to help these people and let them run along with us? Let them experience everything that we do. How can we do that? These are the questions that we have to delve deep inside ourselves to see what we can bring. Because sometimes, you know, we have to bring things along with us. We have to bring the solutions. There isn't everybody that gives us the solutions to all the questions. But we do have so many questions. And especially within this realm, questions and questions and questions, but not always the answers that we would like to hear. So I ask each and every one of you that are listening today, is where and when did you start this journey? Have you started the journey? What do you need to finish the journey? What do you need to start the journey? Is it just the belief in yourself, or is it for somebody to believe in you to do it? Whatever it is, when we delve deep inside and we sit and we put our thoughts up to the spirit and we allow them to come in, they are ones that will guide us also. So we are not on our own, even though we feel maybe very isolated at the moment. We are never, never on our own.
Suzette, absolutely wonderful. I'm so grateful for you for bringing that reading, but especially your philosophy, your teachings of yourself, and no doubt your guides and inspirers. And so true. So many true words in there. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you very, very, very much.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to our hymn for today, and remembering yesterday's anniversary of the 6th of June, and also celebrating the church's ties with many of the forces, people who attend our church and our locale. So we have today, I Vow to Thee, My Country.
Our second hymn is a patriotic anthem sung to the music of Gustav Holst.
So, thank you all for the joining in with the hymn there. I'm sure you all did. And now, once more, I hand over to the wonderful Suzette for the rest of the service. Thank you so much, Suzette.
Okay. I'd like to carry on just with a little bit more of philosophy, if I may, Lawrence.
Please do. Please do.
Yeah. Okay. And just listening to the hymn that we've just had, and I'm bringing up, I vow to thee, my country, all earthly things above, entire and whole and perfect, the service of my love. And it encompasses the whole of the country. These words were written, and they were written in a time when communities weren't so far spread, and community meant that we were united. And when we feel united, we can merge together and we can walk forward. We've come upon hard times at the moment where isolation has really been hard for a lot of people. Yet, organizations have very quickly been able to offer what they offer still to the people within, on say, like on platforms like this, on Zoom. So making sure that people within their community are still able to engage and stay together. How wonderful that the churches have been able to go online and still touch the community, still hold the congregation together. It goes on within the hymn to say that, and there's another country I've heard of long ago, most dear to them that love her, and most dear and great to them that know. We may not count their armies, we may not see her king. Her fortress is a faithful heart, her pride is suffering. And soul by soul and silently her shining bounds increased, and her ways are ways of gentleness, and all her paths are of peace. And peace is one of the things that I found within this time that has been reflective. Peace has offered me that self-reflection, that's offered places and organisations that place of self-reflection. And from that, we are emerging as different people, we're emerging as different organisations, we're emerging as different committees, we're all emerging differently. But we're coming from a place of self-reflection and hopefully from a place of peace, that we can take this forward so we can make a difference with an energy that is not so angry in places. You know, we've seen a lot happening in the world over the last few days, that if only we could spread that peace further. And within our belief of the life hereafter and how the spirit world touches you, it touches us in a way that's peaceful. So when it touches us, either with the words or the energy that comes through from the spirit world, are we not then duty bound to just open our minds and our hearts and our bodies up to this fact that there is this peace within us that we can use and we can push forward? And when we find that place of peace, is it not easier to spread a message with peace? Is it not easier for people to hear messages of peace through their ears? Is it not easier to feel messages of peace as it has that energy? You know, that whole hymn in itself bound people together in a time that was needed, and no more than ever as well at the moment with things that are going on around us. Do we need to stay binded together? But can we do that with peace? That peace that's from our inner and that peace that is around us. But we have a place ourselves, and we have a responsibility to create that peace. And when we can do that within ourselves, as Cliff did, he had an opportunity and he took it. We have opportunities now, and is it not our responsibility to take those and to look inward and walk forward with those in peace? I love that hymn, actually, Lawrence. I was really great that you'd played that.
I was just sat there absolutely gobsmacked that you were quoting it chapter for chapter. I'm like, how did this happen? But yeah, we know how it happens. Do you know what? That was cracking. Absolutely cracking. Your presence today has been a real breath of fresh air. Absolutely so uplifting. I'm always very mindful to say, you know, when we look at the good things coming out of this time, we should always keep in mind why we're here, you know, and never celebrate this time, because it is a time of reflection and a time for mourning and for grieving, obviously. However, it's just so interesting how much spirit work make those connections. I had no idea that was your favorite hymn, and I certainly had no idea you would deliver such an uplifting and very, very much of the day address based upon it. So just, yeah, carry on, guys. Suzette, my darling,
Yes.
we do have a little time extra to go. If you'd like to fill it, great. If you don't want to fill it, great, because I think what you said this morning, you're not going to beat.
Okay. No, we do have. I'm just trying to see. So we have 30 minutes. So I don't know if I don't think StreamYard allows you to be able to do any mediumship, does it? Because you can't connect with.
It's a different way of working. You won't be able to see the person, and also any comments back are subject to quite a time lag.
Yeah.
So,
no, so
if you wish to do it, absolutely fine. Me personally, just give it off and move on. Up to you. Up to you. It's your service.
I think I think collectively, if I just finish off with some more words here, because everybody within service does like mediumship, and I feel mediumship is very integral with services nowadays. But mediumship is about proving, certainly with me, proving that there is life hereafter, but the messages that they bring, messages can take all formats. So whether it's for one person or if it's for all, the hymn gave us a message, a very deep message, because we're at a time where people had gone to war to fight for what the country believed in, and we're learning very much now that we don't need to go to war to fight for what we believe in. And if mediumship can do anything at the moment and touch the hearts and souls of people that are watching, and that we know that all our loved ones are only a thought away, and when we put the thought up, they surely are within our presence. So if everybody at the moment that's watching just opens up their hearts and opens up their minds and just thinks of somebody that is dear to them, that they would like to feel the presence of, and just give that just the second, and just sit in that moment and just know that they join us. And by joining us, it doesn't mean that they have to speak to us, because words cannot sometimes mean as much as just knowing, and just knowing that they are there. So if we just sit and just put our thoughts up to our loved ones that have gone before, and know that's all that they ask, for us to join them. And as we can feel the love that they bring again, as I said, they bring it in peace, and especially in this time. And their feeling and their energy will go on long after that we've closed our live down. And it's just knowing that, I've been brought to you over the airways, and this is technology. And there's nothing technical about us being able to tune into our loved ones. It's the most natural thing known to man, is to know that we are still loved. And just by sitting here and sitting in that presence, I hope each and every one of you have been able to feel that love and that tenderness once again from the ones that you hold dear.
Absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. It's probably not recognised or not known to a great number of people watching today that in the old days, when spiritualism was taken out to the masses, and I know that the Albert Hall was a venue and it was absolutely chock-a-block. Winifred Moyes used to tour, channeling her guide Zodiac at times. And they were not in the modern day format of going to an individual with a communication. It was philosophy. So it was a message for everybody. And by Jove, you've done that today, Suzette. Absolutely beautiful. Can't thank you enough.
Okay, it's been an honour to do it on this day and mark the VE Day as well, as we do like to. But this is my first time with you, although I am coming down to you later in the year if we're open for business, as they say.
Yeah, this is something we've got to keep amending daily, virtually.
Yes.
Suzette, thank you. If you would do us the great honour of delivering the closing prayer for us today, please.
I will. Okay, so everybody would just like to join me into the silence. Divine Spirit, Father God, as we sit here connected by the great love that you spread amongst our communities, that love that spiders out that we know that can touch each and every one of us. As we sit together as a brotherhood, indeed, we know that life is eternal. As we venture out, please place a blessing on each and every head that bows before you this morning. I do this in your name, I say this in love. Amen.
Amen. Suzette, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And I'm going to keep going back to this on the catch-up channel just to keep picking up on different threads that you brought through there. So wonderful. Before we leave, everybody, just a few notices for the week. This Wednesday at 3 o'clock, we have the lovely Kate Green making a return visit to our online services. On Saturday at 7 o'clock, we have the two Sarahs delivering an evening of mediumship. That's Sarah Waman and Sarah McLaughlin will be working that evening. Next Sunday at 11 o'clock, we have a divine service with Mark Stewart, otherwise known as the Scottish Medium. Also on Friday night, we will be having one of our linked up events with the Spiritist Association. And I believe our talker this week will be beaming from the USA again. So we're certainly traveling the world at the moment with these people, and absolutely so grateful they're finding the time in our itinerary to look after us. So thank you all. Suzette, on behalf of everybody here, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Wonderful, magical morning. Thank you. You know, I know some people are, would like a message. Do you know what? I've had my message, and I'm sure a lot of people watching this now and watching it in the future will get their message. Well done. Brilliant. So glad you made it.
Thank you very much.